Hello, I'm Eileen Wurst.
And I'm Genevieve Bargello.
And we're here to predict the news.
Welcome to CFB News. Recently, Clatfartburg had its annual Crispy Fest, but things did not go according to plan.
Families have come forward discussing that their children were stuck in pipes and tunnels set up by one of the 8 plumbing companies in Clatfartburg called the Plumbing Company. Though the children were able to be removed near the end, it was a bit of a sticky situation. And those tunnels, they are, according to my notes, still in the ground.
The big tree that hosts all the predictions that sources were not able to get the name of. The predictions were scattered after a big gust of wind came from the helicopter carrying us, the CFB News anchors. We did release the big Crispy into the air, but he was dashed up by the blades of the helicopter and did cause havoc at the festival.
One vendor on the scene, Nancy Pankin, owner of Pankin's Napkins, discussed how the wind and gust bursted all the napkins and caused destruction across the vendors, including the artisanal ketchup vendor, Le Marc Rouge, as well as the entire meat carvers who are out there carving some meats over there also by the Plaque Station. Correct, Genevieve?
Eileen, can I correct you there? There weren't any meat carvers, there were wood carvers, but I can understand the confusion as a load of fried food trucks came in from out of town, misreading Crispy Fest as being a fried food festival and mistakenly entered into the crispy competition, the crispy carving competition, thinking it was a meat carving competition, so they did put meat onto the wood sculptures. There was another issue with the food trucks. Families were scandalized after seeing the big fuck fish truck at the event, and it's not for the reason you think. Crispy Fest has long banned fish-based products from being sold at the event due to the fish-based nature of it and out of respect for Crispy. The big fuck fish truck did not respect the festival's culture, and while it was not ousted, it was given quite the side eye.
And so, yes, that was the news.
That was the news, Eileen. Thank you all so much for listening. We will be back in 2 weeks. Very light schedule on the news here.
This was CFB News.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Clatfartburg. This is the Comedy World Building Podcast from me, Felicia.
And Elaine.
I had an experience this week that felt very Clatfartburg. I want to share it with you all. I went to the eye doctor, and I already went there and I got my prescription checks. We were all good, so I was just there to pick up my glasses. And I walked in at 11 o'clock, and then I proceeded to reject every option presented in front of me. And then I was out the door at 11:20. And it felt very Clatfartburg to me, the experience. As I could tell, the optician was getting increasingly upset at me, immediately rejecting each glasses. But I have glasses I'm currently happy with, and sometimes we don't like change.
Yeah, indeed.
So anyway, this episode is about a museum, and that's so linked. It's so linked, and I want you to think about it. Glasses, what do people who work at museums wear? They wear glasses, and that's how it's linked.
Yes. And as we all know, museums are a wonderful place to educate yourself and learn about maybe where you live, aspects about the nature, the history, what have you, innovations. And what better way to learn more about this quirky town than to dive into this beautiful museum that we're about to create together. Felicia and I have set up some artifacts and part of a children's exhibit as well to kind of just see what we're going to do. But let's start off by just discussing about the museum itself. How, I imagine based on what I've written, this museum has to be a little big. A little bit. It has to be a little big.
I was picturing a little dinky. So this is good. Yeah. This will be fun for us to work together.
We can work with this. If it's a little dinky and then it has this random bigger building in the way back, like there's a parking lot and then there's the other part.
So I've been thinking,
I think that's perfect.
I've been thinking, I went a very history bend with mine. I feel like the Science Museum is a different place. Are we on the same page with that, or
no.
Are we not? Okay.
We have a blend.
We have a general museum then that's perfect. This is the big Clatfartburg Museum. I think this is then not in the main town. You got to go to it and you do have to pay for parking. That's kind of the scale I'm thinking. Parking is paid here.
Yes. Yeah. There might be a shuttle, but it's never running, but there are signs and claiming it's free. So people wait for this shuttle and then it never comes.
Yes. Very sizable gift shop, which is great. That's the place where you actually get good crispy merch. This is the place. So
yes,
that I feel good about that. I'm thinking Is it like experimental architecture? Is it one of those?
I think so. I imagine maybe we started off with some like older classic, like, you know, the one in Animal Crossing, let's say. You've got some pillars, you know, what you imagine. But then over the years, people thought they could like modify it. So there's still parts of the old, but then you have random like shiplap, Art Deco, like whatever, like horrible 70s architecture thing going on. Like I imagine it being like morphed. No architect could like stay for longer than 6 months. Projects were abandoned. I imagine funds come and go. So yeah, I can imagine that the museum is trying to go more with this eclectic vibe, but it sort of looks like
especially because it is both a history and a science museum. It's kind of an anything.
Well, there were 2 founders of the Clatfartburg Museum.
Of course,
and they could not decide on what was more important, and they wanted to try to, you know, have both in there, and it wasn't big enough for the 2 of them. And there's beef there
because there's always beef in Clatfartburg,
right? I don't know much about the museum community. I can see them both being very nice and lovely, and then also just being petty as fuck about some shit. Like, you're not about to get access to my archives. Are you kidding me? This is my precious thing, you know?
Yeah. Big debate over whether we post the public domain images. That's a big debate going on there right now.
Yeah.
I also, this is a weird call. I think the water fountains at this place are deeply ineffective.
Ooh,
you ever go to a museum and you're like, what the hell is this? I like that I've turned into Seinfeld right now. But like,
you like turn it on and it slightly bubbles, but it's not actually like
and if you wanted,
air.
You would have to like put your whole mouth around it and suck it out to get any water out of this.
One of those.
So that's just a side note. I think the water fountains here really don't work, which is funny because I want them to have a big water area because no science museum is complete without a big water play place. Oh, Elaine.
Oh, that's interesting. That might come into play a bit.
Ooh, how exciting. Elaine, there's got to be a big train you can walk through in this museum. There's got to be.
Oh, fuck yes. There has to be a train. Okay, you walk into the lobby. Some people have giant dinosaur skeletons. There's a fucking train in this.
I have a pitch for the lobby, though. I have a pitch for the lobby.
Okay.
I think there's a giant Crispy hanging from the ceiling. And on one side, it's Crispy. And then you go to the other side, and you can see a skeleton and organs.
Can you walk in it?
I did not think so. Have you ever been to the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia? Because that one you can walk through a model of the human heart. That's a fun one.
God.
And you can also go through a big train and play a lot of train games, which I love. And I'm like, next time you're here, we'll have to go.
We will have to do that.
We will have to see every train-related activity in the region because there's so many.
Okay, so do we want is the train like on the front lawn? Then?
Well, I actually have another pitch with the train. So I have a train-related pitch later. I just also think there's a big train they can walk in a building, in a room once, you know.
Like it's a doorway? Like you enter the train to enter a room to then...
Yes, that's what it is now. So that's the way you enter to the other thing I'm going to pitch later.
I love it. Perfect.
This museum is fucking crazy already. I want to go so bad. Can you walk through the model Crispy? This is a question I was not expected to confront. I was kind of picturing him hanging from the ceiling.
Well, yes. Same. What if you get a terrifying catwalk? So not a lot of people want to do it, but you have a terrifying catwalk, and then you can kind of like, you know, grip onto the like little bars to go through it.
Or another thing.
Okay.
This thing is fucking huge, okay? And then this is a 2-floor museum. 2 or 3-floor museum, and it's the bridge across. There's a bridge across and a big open area, and then you walk through Crispy that way, and you go through his mouth and come out his butt.
Perfect.
Isn't that
that's
great?
So perfect. Yeah, and there's like little mists inside, so you get like a little misty.
Sure. I'm okay with there being mists inside. I can accept there being mists inside.
This sounds like you're making a huge sacrifice.
It's so visceral because remember, we're walking through his organs. So it's not like, oh, we're walking through the water. We're getting wet from his organ juice.
Maybe they didn't fully think that through.
Okay.
Maybe once it was going, they were like, oh, wait, people aren't going to think about the ocean. They think this is like organ juice known as maybe blood. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who's to say? Okay, well, maybe they like try to turn them off and then someone tries to keep turning them on. And it's not, this museum is not coherent. The staff is like at war with each other.
Very much.
And it's shocking.
There's an art wing in the basement that 2 people know about. I don't think anyone's visited in years.
Yeah.
It's like, it's very, there's a hierarchy in the place. Science is on top, history's in the middle, art is on the bottom.
Yes.
And ain't that the world?
Them's the rules.
All right. So this is great because we've accidentally embodied the warring founders, I feel like, as you taking on the science approach and me taking on the history approach.
Yeah. Well, mine kind of, I have like,
you straddle.
Mine, I hop around.
Okay.
So I actually have one for each floor at this point, is kind of how it's set up.
Oh, that's
so
incredible.
This is interesting.
I mean, mine could. Yeah, mine could. All right.
We'll see. I'm sure they'll interact with each other and create new abominations. So
I'm gonna start with the least exciting one I have.
Sure.
And I'm open to suggestions on what you think this should contain. But I think there is somewhere in, I guess, the history section, the original recipe for Clatfartburg Chowder, an innovative Depression-era recipe made from, and I'm open to suggestions here, my current picks are pudding and broccoli rabe. No seafood.
That's perfect.
Okay.
It's disgusting.
And again, Clatfartburg they want everyone to think they're coastal so bad. Not coastal. Not a coastal town.
There's a lake.
There is a big lake.
Yeah.
And they pretend it's a coast.
Yeah.
But it's not. You would think with all their branding, they're a seafood place. They're not.
No. They're just really leaning into it. That's perfect. I imagine that occasionally the museum will host like little mini galas as big as you can in Clatfartburg.
Well, I think the Clatfartburg Chowder is like pretty well known. Like I think it's a dish. Like if you go to the big diners in the area, you can get Clatfartburg Chowder. Like it's like they'd be like, get your authentic Clatfartburg Chowder at, like.
Is this that thing where like natives really like it and everybody else thinks it's just disgusting, but since you're there, you have to have it?
And they all keep going like, we're the real Clatfartburg Chowder because the real Clatfartburg Chowder is bad. So most places, we've updated the Clatfartburg Chowder. No. Give me the original shit. And to get the original shit, you need to go to a very specific diner that I'm sure we will come up with later. That I'm sure we'll know eventually.
It'll have its little sign, home of the original Clatfartburg Chowder.
Yeah, it was founded by old Meemaw something, like.
I imagine it has to have a certain like serving dish as well. The way you have to have, different alcohols go in different shaped glasses. Like
it's fish shaped. This town has no originality or imaginative. And it's not because I'm not imaginative. It's they're really fixated on the fish. And if it has Clatfartburg, it has to have crispy in there. And yes, crispy has been around since at minimum 1920. If we're going with this being Depression era, he is not a new invention. Oh my God. What if his origin was like a Sunday Funnies comic strip? I've never thought about that, but that is really compelling to me.
Yes.
We don't need to nail into it. But I think that is a very compelling origin story for Crispy.
It's interesting because I had an original idea that could possibly play into why he's also named Crispy. So I think we can put that as a pinpoint. Come back to that at a later date because
maybe a newspaper Sunday Funnies.
Yes, and
Crispy's from the Sunday Funnies.
Crispy oodalali. Oh my God. Yes. Okay. It's all making sense now.
I feel good about that. All right.
Nice. Okay.
So not many more notes on that, but there is a classic dish, the Clatfartburg Chowder, made of pudding and broccoli rubs.
I love it. Okay. I guess just as a side note too, this is a like 0.25% artifact, I would say. They have a palm-sized piece of the Berlin Wall because every museum has a piece of the Berlin Wall, and Clatfartburg dished out an embarrassing amount of money to get a piece of the Berlin Wall so that they could feel like they were a legit museum. So this little piece has its own room. People don't really care because it's small and it doesn't really fit with any of the other it doesn't flow into anything.
Clatfartburg is not interested in world issues.
No,
Clatfartburg is very self-centered as a town.
Yeah, does Clatfartburg look down on Europe? Because that was just a random vibe I got suddenly.
There's tension now because of Le Marque Rouge is
exactly
successful, so they can't.
So maybe the younger generation versus the older generation.
They're still mad at the colonies. They're still not over it. There's a subset of older people who are still not over it.
Whoa. Okay, cool. So that was like a mini one. I can go into my next actualized one. So you're walking around, you're in the history section, and you come across a display and you see the Clatfartburg Army uniform. So back in the 17th century, Clatfartburg's greatest export was 1% milk, and this was due to their cows lacking nutrition, so they didn't actually have to do anything. It just automatically was
1% milk exist in the 17th century. Also, the 17th century is the 1700s, you said, right?
Oh, the 19th century. Sorry. So it'd be the 1800s.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Sorry, I wrote that incorrectly. Yeah.
1800s kind of insane.
I meant, gosh, and I worked so hard to make sure I got the centuries right, and then I typed it wrong. Oh my gosh. The Clatfartburg Museum has to have multiple audits and checks on their history. They're not great at writing it down. They just get too excited. So yes, in the early 1800s, this 1% milk was around, and that's what made it so niche. Now, it was hard to sell to people because they were like, why would I care? Because they didn't necessarily care about like low fat anything, because they were just trying to like
survive,
live. Yeah.
Cholesterol was not a thing back then.
No.
They didn't know what the fuck that was. So.
It was more like, how do I not get diphtheria?
Yeah.
So anyway, we've got, obviously, if this is their greatest export, we have a ton of workers who are constantly milking these cows. And there are so many cows that it's interesting. Something starts to morph. You know how right now orcas are unionizing? Like orca whales are, for the first time we're watching them, like they're getting together and like tipping over ships and stuff, which is wild. Okay. These cows start doing the same thing. So the cows get together and they start rebelling.
As they should.
So they basically form an army. And I couldn't think of a great name for this cow army. So if you think of anything, let me know. But they have basically an army. And that's how the humans have to refer to it, because it's no longer a herd. It's angry and they're almost outnumbered. So on August 6th, 1803, a great stampede during the night takes out the northern quarter of downtown, killing 3 people. No worries. Everyone in town hated those 3 people. So it wasn't like, that bad. But, that's a whole section of town just defeated. And now suddenly we really need to do something about these cows. So the farmers needed funding to help wrangle in the cows, but the city council was having issues because each farmer was asking for different things. It wasn't organized. And like, we can't just be dishing out like funds willy-nilly. Also, the city council at that time did not actually live within Clatfartburg. They were abroad having a good time. They were rich. They were hands off. It was like a little, it wasn't, this was before they revolutionized their internal democracy, even though America fully had its own system at this point.
I'm not going to be able to keep listening to you until I say this out of my brain, because it's going to be gone. And I'm focused so hard on not forgetting it. Cowperals?
Cowperals?
Like corporals?
Like corporals, but cowperals?
Corporals. Like I was thinking
Well, maybe
I was thinking the Army Corps, the Army Cowers. Cowers
and cowards. Could be the people who didn't join the army.
Not cowards.
Cowards. They call the army cowards because they needed to think of something Yeah, but then they're the wards of the state.
The cowards.
They're the cowards. Oh my gosh. And that's why to call someone a coward in Clatfartburg is actually really, really bad. It's considered a cuss word to call someone a coward in Clatfartburg due to this history. So
and you can get banned from libraries by saying it.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like a whole separate video.
No, actually, you can't get banned from libraries, but the museum is really cagey, so you're not allowed to read that sign out loud. Yes!
The audio tour just whispers it gently.
Cowards.
The cowards.
Don't tell anybody I said this, but the cowards.
Yeah, it's not full censorship, but it's like a little spooky. Like someone might.
Nobody will be able to hear it over. Like your headphones won't be too loud, and they won't be able to hear it. It's fine.
Yeah. The interns recorded the audio tour also, and it's
and it's fun because you can hear them scrolling through TikTok in the background.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god. Okay, so anyway, the city council's like, you guys need to get together and figure this out. So the farmers get together, and instead of forming a union, they also form an army because this is now a war. So oh my God, I originally called it the Clatfartburg Army, but
the Clatfartburg Cowards?
The Clatfartburg Cowards. Well, because the cowards are the enemy. So maybe it's just the Clatfartburg Army, whatever. But they wore green uniforms to blend in with the grass.
Gotcha.
Some of the like cavalry would dress more in like browns and yellows to blend in with the giant hay bales they could use to hide behind and maneuver through the herd.
Yeah.
So this was the Great Dairy War, as they called it, this battle with the cows. And I know you're thinking, how could they not beat the cows? Well, they didn't have a lot of guns, okay? And also, this is still, they want to milk them. So if they kill them,
right,
you know, it's hard. And not all of the cows have rebelled. So it's like really difficult to deal with this. Scabs, exactly. You know, veals, as we call them.
This is fucking crazy. I love it. But
anyway,
this is insane.
So this is what actually leads into the beef war from 1805 to 1807. There was a 2-year period of a standoff.
And then the beef war. And I do think they spend more time on these wars than they do on all of World War II. No, I don't.
Yeah.
I think all of World War I. I think the Clatfartburg public school system does spend more time on World War II, but I think they spend about equal time on World War I as the beef and dairy wars.
Yes, yeah, basically. It's kind of like you know, people in South Carolina know all about like the swamp fox, and then other people everywhere are like, I don't know what that is, or it was like one liner, but like in South Carolina it was like 5 chapters. And if you don't know it, there you go.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so anyway, I did have an option where cows are now illegal in Clatfartburg city limits as well. So it doesn't mean you can't have beef come in or anything, but within the city limits itself of downtown, since again, like this entire quarter was destroyed by these cows, you know, it's gone. So, but the Clatfartburg, uniform, I imagine also I want to have little epaulets, like little, you know, those little like tassel boys on the shoulders. There might be a cute little hat, like a little Peter Pan kind of hat. So yeah, that's the Clatfartburg Army uniform of the early 1800s.
I love it. There was a lot in there.
Yeah, I didn't know that we would create our own cuss word and have cows and cowards. That was unexpected. What a delight.
All right, do you want to hear what's next up in the history section?
Yes.
There's the old fountain from the Great Old Stick. So the Great Old Stick was once Clatfartburg's tallest building, all right? It was in the 1930s. Big news. It was about 10 floors, but big for Clatfartburg back then.
Yeah.
You know, Clatfartburg is not a tall city. It's a pretty, you know, it's not like banned to have tall buildings, but a lot of the development was early, so it didn't really work out. You know, this isn't like a city. It is, but like you're not seeing many buildings higher than 10 to 12 floors. You know, that's pretty big. So this was the first like 10-tower building. It came from all those like big Chicago steel skyscrapers that came down. Oh, my art history class coming in with architecture came down to Clatfartburg and built the big old stick, the Great Old Stick, whatever you like to call it. That wasn't its official name, but it was called the Great Old Stick because it looked like a stick. Again, Clatfartburg, not the most inventive with names, clearly.
No.
But so the fountain, unfortunately, the Great Old Stick is still not standing. It's no longer standing. It did burn down in the 30s. No one was injured. No one was there. Not sure. No one really knows what the cause was. The running theory that was put in the media a lot of the time was a really hot sausage was launched from a barbecue. Really hot. And I mean, it's so hot. And the
sausage itself is not on fire. It's just a hot sausage that
really
lands.
It's really hot, Elaine.
Were people like getting also separately from this vendor or restaurant? Were they having like
this was
injuries?
A backyard barbecue?
Oh, okay.
This is no one, and there's been a lot of video essays talking about how we cannot prove it was done by a really hot sausage because there's no record of this hot sausage. No one saw the sausage.
I mean, and how can you like define hot? We don't have the thermometer ready to go.
It's not,
you know?
and it's like there were no sausages in the wreckage, and the news was like, well, they burn up. You know, it would have burned. And it's
I was
like,
gonna say it'd be hilarious if like the sausage was just like totally fine.
But the thing is thankfully the day prior, the fountain was stolen by none other than Bartholomew, Arkansas, Clatfartburg's greatest thief. So here's the thing. The main theory now is that Bartholomew, Arkansas definitely lit the big old stick on fire. But back in the day, people were very happy with the sausage theory. And I think it's because they hated a guy with a barbecue and they wanted him out. So they just made that guy's life hell for a while to do that.
Clatfartburg does not do well with people it hates in the town.
No, of
it
course
sounds
not.
Like they die in a cow stampede. They don't care. You know, they.
I mean, if it was happening 20 years, because this happens after the cow wars, but you know, there would have been a similar reaction to that guy going.
Yeah.
Not deserved. He was a fine dude. It was just the barbecue was it was a nuisance. It was too much for them. So yeah, the fountain, it's somehow in working order. They spent a lot of money restoring it. It's kind of in like the centerpiece of one of the history areas. And I think maybe, do people throw coins in it? Maybe that could be fun. Maybe they're allowed. It's like the one interactive element of the history section so your brain doesn't explode. And then they use it to fund the museum. That's what they do.
Yeah, I love that.
Meanwhile, it costs $30 to park. So they don't need the money, but they will take it. You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But so that's what I've got there. So the really hot sausage, and
fabulous.
Maybe they play a video showing the trajectory of the sausage, potentially what it could have been, you know,
a historical recreation. Because you said this happened in the 30s.
Yes.
So we could have like one of those like no one's smiling black and white like photos happening right outside the stick, which I love.
Yeah.
And they had to take 3 different photos to get the full stick going.
Yeah. Bartholomew, Arkansas, giving the middle finger to the great old stick days prior to it burning down. Whoever could have done this?
Does he have like a big mustache, little handlebar thing going on?
There's more to Bartholomew, Arkansas. He's coming back up on Artifact 3. Don't worry about it.
Good. I was gonna say I need to know more. Okay,
I would not introduce Bartholomew, Arkansas, and just leave him there. Are you kidding?
Oh my gosh, I love that. Is there like a little monument, memorial, or even a plaque where the stick once stood?
Mm-hmm. Well, they planted a tree in its place.
Oh yeah.
The Great Old Stick Park. Big old stick park.
Old stick park. You just go and like when the sticks fall, you gather them and you lay them at the base of the tree to honor those.
Yeah. You just put a stick in the ground and go, it's a memorial.
Every year they have stick in the mud, you know, classic pudding, as we all know.
The
good
Clatfartburg
times.
Chowder.
Ah, and the Clatfartburg Chowder. Pudding and a chowder. Yummy.
Which the chowder is made of pudding.
The chowder is pudding. Yes, yes. God, wow.
All right. I want to hear what's up next for you.
So you go down to the basement to the art section. And we're going to talk about Dela Noir, a mediocre artist who was born in Clatfartburg. And Dela Noir's exhibit is paintings. She's a painter. She's known for her paintings of light switches, specifically the most famous being On Again, Off Again, depicting a light switch stuck in the middle of being turned on. And there's a lamp in the back slightly glowing. And interpreters, you either see it as being turned on or being turned off. You know, is this glow fading or whatever? But no one has really come to any conclusion. And it is said to have made the First Lady Barbara Bush weep upon the sight of this painting. So weirdly had a moment, pretty famous. But honestly, beyond that, meh, you know, but Clatfartburg is like, she's from here. We got to promote our local artists. So
is she still in Clatfartburg or is she passed or?
She mysteriously disappeared without a trace. So her house was left untouched. Like they're trying, there was like an event or something. She was kind of reclusive, but basically a friend or something goes up there and she's completely gone. But the house is basically untouched. She has a half cup of coffee sitting on her breakfast table. And all that was missing were her paint supplies. So it just seemed like she went out to go painting in nature or something, but she's never to be seen again. There was a note in her handwriting that is in code that Clatfartburg historians have been trying to decode for years. It's a series of symbols broken up by dashes.
There's a lot of code going on today, I can tell you.
Oh
we
my
God. A lot of code.
Tell me you watch Taskmasters without telling me you watch Taskmaster. Anyway, so it's a series of symbols broken up by dashes, followed by swirling lines. The sheet was folded in half and signed DN. So we're fairly certain Dela Noir wrote this herself. And again, as an artist, it's a little eccentric. Was this part of a thing? And she should technically be alive based on her age. But we don't know. So there's speculation is that it leads to her fortune and or her whereabouts. But she did have a wealth, and she did have this air about her that people think this might be where her fortune lies. She is still at large to this day, and included with her paintings.
At large? Is she getting arrested?
She's at large. We don't know. We have no idea where she is today. So her paintings are hung in the bottom exhibit, and the a recreation of the document with the code is on display. They have the real one in the back just so they can keep analyzing it.
They have one of those little miniature rooms that it looks like that they do with the crime scenes for the FBI. So there's a little miniature room of her house.
Yes. And I love that. And also they have a comment box at the end where you can put your own theories, and they'll like see if it's real or not.
Can you solve Dela Noir's code?
Yeah, they're like, it's really expensive trying to get coders in here, so let's just open it up to the public. I don't know. And they get a lot of like,
Elaine, it wouldn't be coders, it'd be cryptologists. I hated that. I hated that I did that. But what is my role in this podcast?
Well, that's the problem. They keep getting coders, and they're like, I can do JavaScript, but what the fuck are you talking about? And they're like, wait, no. And that's why they're like, they don't exist. There's no people who can break this. So anyway, in the back room, the archivists secretly are reviewing a collection of paintings.
Google banned in Clatfartburg? Because I feel like that would explain a lot.
I think they're just really in touch with nature, maybe. Like
they're very offline. Clatfartburg is not on the internet.
Yeah. But another part of this, too, the last part, is Dela Noir is known for her light switch paintings, but there's also a secret archive in the back of the museum that they are trying to review to find clues that they believe are Dela Noir paintings, but they contain matches and fire, which goes against her original light switch style. And based on, checking the aging of it, these would have happened after the light switch paintings. So it's an interesting thing. They don't know if there's meaning to it. Again, like something's shifting here. We're going back to like basics. So it's a big mystery that kind of no one cares about because it's art, and who gives a shit about painting? And that's how Clatfartburg feels about that. So
very fair.
There's a lot to digest there, but they put in stupid little shit in the comment boxes. So who's to say if that, code will come back later, perhaps.
I like it.
What's next in this museum of fun?
Well, we're still in the art section. You want to turn to your right? It's none other than the bust of Bartholomew Alexander.
Oh, yeah.
Made of marble, his big mustache shining in the light.
Marble.
But here's the thing. The bust of Bartholomew Alexander has been the subject of about 8 failed heists because people believe that there is a secret hidden inside the bust. So people are trying to grab it and smash it open to find out where the treasure is. Again, very similar. And I was like, if the timelines worked out, I would think Dela Noir and Bartholomew Alexander are the same person running a big con on the city. But he was alive in 1930 and an old man at the time. So I don't think, maybe she's his daughter.
Yes.
Dela Noir is the daughter of Bartholomew Alexander.
But she kept it under wraps. But she knows in the lineage, because why would you,
And then that's why she's making the match paintings. It's a whole thing. What is a match if not a big stick on fire? What?
Whoa.
So anyway, the bust of Bartholomew Alexander is under such intense lock and key. Like, you have to get patted down to go see it. So no one sees this thing because it's really boring. But like, it was a subject of heist pre-museum and in museum. Like, it's been a whole thing, them getting it. And they had to get like a security detail to get it in the building. He was a master thief, urban legend. There's a secret hidden inside. And then he was also definitely the guy that burned down the big stick.
I feel like there's Halloween lore around him
The
with
ghost of
teens. It's-
Bartholomew Alexander will haunt you.
right? Like it used to be cool and then it's just become cheesy and
Yeah.
overdone. But like, you know, the teachers are still like, oh.
Well, a teacher dresses up as Bartholomew Alexander every year.
Yeah.
Legally,
Yeah.
one has to. Well, there's the Bartholomew Alexander horror house. The one house goes all out on the theming every year, and they float really hot sausages on a big stick.
They drop the bust, but then it goes black right when it cracks kind of thing. Like it just has like this perpetual little thing where it goes down and then the bust opens as though you're about to see what's in it, but then the lights go out. And then it turns back on, but the bust is at the top, and you never know what's inside the bust. The
The bus has
house.
nothing in it.
Woo!
Well, it may have something in it. I don't know, but probably not. It's probably not.
Most
but,
likely not.
Well,
but-
I love the thief family of Bartholomew Alexander and Dela Noir.
God,
Not a thief, a painter.
a painter. Which also, Dela Noir is not her real name.
Of course not.
You know who's named Dela Noir? Not her. So,
Yeah.
if you are named Dela Noir, you have a fabulous name. I will say. If
It
you're
is
listening
incredible.
to this. Wow. Okay. Creating history and heists.
History. It's better than Cower Pearl.
History is amazing.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay, so now we're going to go to the science section. So we are walking around, and this is probably going to have to be near the back of the building because
Is this your giant one?
this is the big one. So in 1933, Winifred Blanche moved to Clatfartburg with something no one had ever seen before: blonde otters. In her Edwardian home along the river, Winifred bred her otters. No one knows exactly where they came from, including where Winifred even came from. All they knew was that she was wealthy and had these otters that were blonde. Now, they were called the Blanche Otters, after Winifred Blanche, of course, which also harkened to their blonde hair.
This is so stupid.
There's something else about the Blanche Otters. They were domesticated. Winifred would dress up her otters in suits and dresses. People would come out to the river because there was like a river like leading into lake, or I imagine there's like a river nearby. It's not huge. It's not like a big thing, you know, it's not the Potomac, but there's a river. That's how waterways work, you know, but it's not like super close to town. But people would go out to start seeing these otters because she dressed them up, and they're domesticated, but they're still being cute little otters, you know? And so they're arranged at these strange yet distinguished creatures. So in the Clatfartburg Museum, they have a taxidermy exhibit of the first Blanche Otters.
I thought we were going to have a conservatory for the
Oh,
otters.
no, don't worry.
Okay.
Their outfits are changed out seasonally. So, you know, when you come in for a little Christmas time, like Frederick Blanche, who was the patriarch of the Blanche Otters, he's wearing a little Santa outfit. You know, like they just like they play around with it. They have fun. And so it's kind of fun to go see the taxidermy blonde otters. It's really fucking weird, but endearing to those who are local to the town. They also now officially have a tank containing the Blanche Otters. They have continued their lineage. And so you can go see the Blanche Otters today in their tank. Now, activist groups. Oh, yes, go ahead.
That's what I was about to be, the activist group, and advocate for a better treatment of the Blanche Otters.
Activist group think the otters should be freed back into the river. Conservationists who work within the museum have concerns that their domicile behavior leaves them susceptible to harm and that they need to protect them. So on one side, they're like, we need to protect them. On the other side, people are like, they've clearly survived there for years. Because again, Winifred moved to Clatfartburg in 1933 with her otters. She was around 20 at the time. She died in 2005, but she left no heir to oversee the otters, and she didn't really leave behind any plans. So the museum went ahead and swept in, picked them up, and took them. So there is ongoing beef about what to do with the otters, and tensions can get really high. So those are the Blanche Otters, these little blonde dressed up otters, having a good time. And because they're domesticated, you can kind of go up and you can like pet them like a little petting zoo.
I think
which would be a dream.
Pitch. Here's my pitch.
Yeah.
They get a big grant from a local conservation place and they build them an absolute paradise where there's no conservation issues. Because I don't know why I need these blonde otters to be treated well. I need them to be happy.
I mean, this is like the Queen's corgis.
Yeah, they're perfect. It's like a greenhouse. They've got greenery. They've got plants. It's a whole thing. They're having the best fucking time. They have more space than you could ever want. It is shocking. I would say about 30% of the whole museum is just the Blanche Otter's house.
Yes. Yeah. It's like their big thing. It's like, we're not an aquarium. We just have otters. But like, it's a big thing, you know?
It's a
and again,
big
it
deal.
is jarring. Again, Clatfartburg locals are totally used to it and love it. But to see the taxidermy and then go see the real thing, a bit weird.
Yeah,
A bit
it's
weird,
odd.
you know, to out-of-towners. But like, people love the experience.
Yeah.
And this is why they're willing to pay $30.
On Atlas Obscura.
The Blanche Otters and Winifred Blanche herself. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, considering that those otters continue to thrive since 1933, obviously there was a big handful. I'm sure some of them they continue to swim upriver, so there probably are still a few out there, but who knows what's really happened to them. But yeah, no, they live in a beautiful paradise. People, though, are still like, I don't know.
They've got a whole costume closet. They can put on whatever they want.
Yeah, they can. It's so cute. So when it's like springtime, they let them choose their outfits also. You know, it's just really cute. And they do get named. So sometimes for charity, you can like donate to select a name. You know, they were like, Fiona the hippo was a big thing. We got to outdo that. So they had Fiona the otter.
Yeah.
You know, they tried. There was one they tried to name like something stupid, and that got rejected. I can't think of a stupid name right now. Burger. It didn't work out, obviously, because cows. How dare you? But yeah, that is the Blanche Otters. Beyond an exhibit, it's more like an experience hotel, beautiful otter palace, I guess.
I love it. That's stunning. All right. Well, those are both of our artifacts. I mean, that's a bold artifact. That's more of
we got the taxidermy. You've got the history. The photos of her with her otters, by the way. She would sit in the middle on a bench and her otters would just be like on their little hind legs, little paws up kind of thing. Some of them would be leaning on each other. Like they're all nice and posed together. And then we have cardboard cutouts also for people to stick their heads into the otter. So you can take your own photo as a Blanche Otter.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Okay, so now we're on to the children's area.
Yeah.
My pitch for the children's exhibit, and you do have to walk through a model of a train to get into this room, is I think there is a scale train model of Clatfartburg, and it is deeply political what makes it on the thing. Because it's like, is this an established part of Clatfartburg? Well, Marc Rouge has been trying to get on there for a while, and they are not having it because this is run by the old people who don't like Europe.
Yes.
So that's just kind of the thing. I think I'm kind of inspired by, again, I guess if you're new to this podcast, Elaine and I, when we first met, we had a great time at not the Strasbourg, that's a different one, the Scottsdale Train Museum. And in one of the buildings, there was a big scale model, not of the town. It was just another fun thing. But there was fun bits where you'd like go around a corner and there'd just be like a bunch of minions in a cave. Yes. And that's kind of the energy where it's like, it's both a very accurate scale model recreation of the town and deeply chaotic because they like dressed up for different holidays and things like that. There was a big day where like they put the big stick where it used to be, but then people got mad at it, so they burned it back down again.
Oh my gosh.
So there's that kind of stuff. I don't have many more details with it. I do think there's buttons people can push to make things happen. Maybe there's a button you can push to make the big stick burn down. That's actually what it is.
That's so
you
good.
You can set a button and a little sausage flies from the backyard of a house into the building.
And you watch it slowly go. And then on the other side of this huge thing, you can press a button and all these angry cows start running and destroying the northern quarter.
You can press a button and some little blonde otters go through the river.
Yeah. A little more kid-friendly, I guess.
Yeah, that's more fun.
They treat kids like the way they treated, like, you know, Victorian-era children and stuff like that, where it's like, you can deal with the hard stuff.
You can know.
It's fine.
But yeah, that's pretty much all. There was also, I also thought there was maybe hints to the treasure in the map, in the scale model. But I also feel like we have enough hints to the treasure at this point that we don't need any more.
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, that's kind of, but there's a lot of drama about who is and who is not in the scale model of Clatfartburg. There's like a whole board for it and you have to apply to the board to get on it. And like there was a big thing where somebody was like, I got that big Home Depot skeleton in my yard. Can we put him in? And it was under review for about 2 years and it did make it on there. And then that person moved and they had to take it off again. So that's kind of the problem.
Ooh,
and
Yeah, it's just very, very political.
Maybe you have to sign a contract if you do get on the board now, ever since then. Like, if you sign a contract, you have to stay in Clatfartburg for 10 years, regardless of what happens.
You think your homeowners
to your
association is bad? Talk about the deal I signed with the Clatfartburg Public Museum Model Train Board.
Yeah, that stuff is, they have fantastic lawyers, and that shit's hard to get out of.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it for mine. It's not a big section, and I think that's okay.
It sounds beautiful. Felicia, you're going to fucking love this exhibit that I've created.
Oh, boy.
You're going to, like, I just can already tell that you would love it. Welcome to the Postal Service Children's Exhibit.
Oh, we both love the Smithsonian Postal Museum. This is where this is coming from.
It's so good.
We both think it's the best Smithsonian museum.
It's so fucking
We
fun.
love bureaucracy.
Yeah.
The people who make the Clatfartburg podcast would have the Postal Museum as their favorite museum, though. Like, it makes sense. Like, it's like, of course, it's our favorite museum.
The fact that it's both of our favorite museums too, as well. Like
I have
Felicia
never had more
brought it
fun
up.
than dropping those little letters in the little buckets. It's so fun.
It's so good. Which great that you bring that up, because when you start this exhibit, you're given a mailbox number. So you hold onto your little tag with your mailbox number that you will use at the very end of this. Okay. So you put it in your little pocket or whatever. Actually, you're given a little satchel, because you're a mailman, okay? So while they go through the exhibit and they're learning about the Postal Service, they're learning about like the old ways that, they used to use this donkey named Clyde throughout the town to deliver mail, all the fun little facts and photos.
He defected to the cow army during the battle.
Yeah, it was really controversial.
Yeah.
It's really bad to be called a donkey as well in Clatfartburg. They really care about their animals in Clatfartburg. They're
do.
very intense about their animals. Okay, so you have your little satchel, and while you're going through exhibit, you're going to find hidden letters, and you're going to collect them. So you can choose to grab these or not, but it's like an Easter egg hunt. The more you find, the cooler. So as a child, you're filling up your satchel with all these letters, and each letter, the envelope, it has a number on it, which is a mailbox number. So at the very near the end of the exhibit, they get a sheet of stamps. And so they put it on the little envelopes, and they have to deliver the letters to the correct mailboxes, which also, by the way, these aren't just a wall of mailboxes. These are different like fake house scenarios. And you do have to go through.
I want to go.
You have to go. It's like a little village kind of thing. And you do have to go through the realistic experiences they would have. So there is like a mechanical dog that will chase you. You will at some points they will make you carry like a heavy package on top of the letter, and you have to slowly, like, it's too heavy, but you have to put it at the front door. Weather inclement, they will make it rain and or hail on you, represented by tiny little not golf balls, oh my god, ping pong balls, Jesus, golf balls rained down. The intern made one mistake one time, and they stopped doing hail. After that, it was just rain. Yeah. So, it's very sensory interactive as well.
Yeah.
Might not always be fun, but like, honestly, I would fucking have a great time with that.
This is the kind of thing I would be really insecure about going to, because I would notice everyone else's line is children, but I would do it.
Oh my God, right? Like, just try to like book it for an evening. You know how they do like pajama party at the aquarium where you have wine and no kids are there kind of thing. It's like that, but the Postal Service.
Yeah.
So at the very end, you've gone through this whole experience and you've delivered the mail. The children then get to grab the mail that was left in their original mailbox number they picked up at the beginning.
Oh, it's so fun.
And so because you've delivered all these random letters, they get shot out into the very end. There are these like basic mailboxes. So think of it as like putt-putt. When you put your ball in the final hole, it gets shoved back in the system. So you get to read these random letters because you also at the end get to write your own letters, submit them, and then those are the letters that are hid throughout the museum. So it's a very fun thing. Kids can write letters to each other. A lot of upkeep, a lot of running around. It's a very, very interactive museum. You have to get a physical before you work that exhibit.
This is also $8 extra.
Oh,
too.
For sure.
This is not included with Ambition. This is the Clatfartburg Postal experience.
Yeah, extra 10 if you want to rent the uniform, which everybody does. So, yeah. And obviously in the gift shop, you can buy your own satchel, your own Clatfartburg Postal Service, CFB, USPS. There always feels like there's another S in USPS, but that was it. CFB, USPS. It's a lot to put on the satchel, but it's fun. And I really want to go to that exhibit.
I do too.
Yeah.
Well, that's the museum. I feel like we've learned a lot about Clatfartburg today. especially about the
Yes.
history. We've established a lot of mystery, a lot of animal-based lore for the town.
We learned about some Clatfartburgisms too. You know, like
Exactly.
the language and where that comes from. We learned about the chowder. Disgusting, but beautiful. It's funny that you said that because I did originally have the exhibit be like experiencing being a server, and the children would have to serve people in the cafeteria, and they could only serve pudding. And then the adults, like these were real customers, they could then rank the children on a star system. And then at the end, the children could get an apron with how many stars they got.
But
it was really just free child labor, so they had to stop doing it.
This is a side note. I think there's a little crispy graphic on the doorways that's like, welcome. And then as you leave, it says, have a nice day. I just wanted to.
Oh, at the very end, it just says, Fiend.
The end. Oh, that's so good. I get it now. I also think kids get hand stamped with a crispy little stamp. You know, when you get hand stamped at those museums so they can know you have entry, you get a little crispy stamp.
Oh, that's so good.
And you can get bootleg crispy stamps.
Fuck yeah.
We don't know who sells them, but somebody sells them. And yeah, I mean, the gift shop, I don't feel like we need to go too much in the gift shop, but the gift shop is great. You can get your stuffed animal otters. You can get your stuffed animal cows.
Oh, I would go ham on a stuffed animal otter wearing a little outfit. I would lose my mind. I would have 10 of them.
Yeah, you can get your Bartholomew Alexander mustache, the official Bartholomew Alexander costume mustache, and then some rock candy by the register.
Oh,
because you have to.
Wow. Well, what another delightful addition to our beautiful town of Clatfartburg. Surely many, many seeds we have planted for the future, even though a lot of them happened in the past.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't know you were queuing me up for something.
No, you're good. I forgot I needed to breathe. And also, I don't know if you've been watching. So everybody listening, my AC is out and my hair has just been slowly curling and getting humidified. I am sweating. It's
great
time. It's so fun.
It's so fun. Well, yeah. I feel like we've learned a lot. I just was writing down Crispy Sunday Funny so I don't forget about that potential lead, because I'm like, if I write it down, I'll remember it.
Oh, beautiful. Yes. Well, if you guys have anything you think would be in the Clatfartburg Museum, or if there were any of these artifacts you would love to hear more about, definitely let us know. Clatfartburg@gmail.com, or you can DM us at Clatfartburg on Instagram. And
we might include a listener suggestion. Maybe this is a thing we do. We make one listener suggestion canon each episode. We don't have to do it.
Ooh.
But there could be something about it. Because my friend Jill has said that the town's Boy Scout troop should be called the Trout Scouts. And I do agree with that.
Oh, yes.
So the Boy Scout troop is called the Trout Scouts. So
Yes.
maybe we won't do it every episode, but you have little gems like that.
Yeah.
Send them our way. We love to hear it. You know, This is a group effort. We're doing 99% of the work, but we love a 1% of help. We will let you help 1%.
Oh my gosh. If you want to support this podcast, you can go to our Buy Me a Coffee by going... How do they go to Buy Me a Coffee these days now?
Clatfartburg.com, baby.
There you go. So go to clatfartburg.com. You'll head up our Buy Me a Coffee where we do commentary tracks. And we're also going to start doing more polls as well for these episodes. So we're still figuring that out, but it could turn into things like where you submit a character name or a more intense plot event that could happen. That might be, more of the intense episode directional things. That is some things that Buy Me a Coffee folks will get to have access to. So again, we're still working that out, but that is to come.
We're waiting for the format to settle a little bit before we throw it up to the public.
So
I just wanted to give a complete random shout out. I mean, not random, but weird for the podcast, to the last episode of Last Week Tonight in the beginning of it. I hope they post on YouTube. It'll suck if they don't.
And this is as of March 8th, by the way. This is May 8th.
May 8th. Jesus.
May 8th.
It's the Public Libraries episode. In the beginning of that episode, John Oliver does a great job talking about all of the student protests going on around divestment from Israel right now. And I just wanted to give a shout out to it. I thought I did a great job summing everything up. And I wanted to say, hey, maybe check that out if you got the time. I thought it was some great info. And it's got a little bit of comedy sprinkled in there. What fun.
We love that. Share the news and get to know what's going on in the world, friends.
Clatfartburg doesn't care, but we should at least a little bit.
Yes.
Please.
Eileen Wurst and Genevieve Bargello
have not looked at a global newspaper in years, but
No. But we here will
recommend you do, and we
bring
will.
that.
But yeah, anyway, with that all being said, if you also want to give us a review on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, both help us.
If you're really dedicated, go on both would be great.
Yes, it's very helpful. And share this with a friend, you know? Share this with a friend if you feel like it. And now it's time for that outro we're still working on.
So last week was Stay Classy from your favorite Bassie.
Yes. Would you like to bring one forward this week?
Don't be a coward and go take a shower.
Oh, moo. Love
Bye,
it.
guys. Bye.